Coda McKeever, and I am the site director of our after-school program. These are our Texas A students, as Ms. McInnes just stated. These students were chosen throughout the week, every day of the week. I use Class Dojo. We take points. So the way that they have earned Student of the Week is basically earning points by behaving, being on task, and following directions. So each week, a different student is chosen and acknowledged for their grade level for being Student of the Week. Okay, guys.
Can everybody please stand? Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now honor the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee. Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. Now for a few
Right here, guys. On three. 1, 2.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, parents, for bringing the students tonight. Okay. I hope they stay dry and hasn't rained.
We're really clearing out now. What did you see? The little boy getting
Okay.
Principal Wilson.
At this portion of meeting, we will recognize Fredonia Elementary Childhood Center, Model PLC Campus. Mr. Linebarger.
Thank you, Coach Naramon, board members, Dr. Trujillo. I want to go ahead and bring up Charles Zamonic. Well, that seems so strange to say because normally it's just Z. But Charles Zamonic, principal of Fredonia Early Childhood Center, he's going to come up here. He's going to talk a little bit about this really impressive designation they've received from Solution Tree. It really says a lot about his campus and what they've been able to accomplish. So I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Z.
Good evening, President Neermon, board members, and Dr. Trujillo. I brought a speech today that's written so I don't go off script and I do not talk too long. I brought some of our campus members there. They're in pink. If you struggle to see them, I'll point them out for you. So I am honored and delighted to stand before you today to celebrate a momentous achievement that our campus, Fredonia Early Childhood Center, has worked tirelessly to attain. We gather here to recognize and congratulate our team for achieving the prestigious status of a Model Professional Learning Community, or PLC, campus. Becoming a Model PLC campus signifies that we have embraced a culture of continuous learning and improvement. It means that we have committed ourselves to the belief that every student on our campus has the capacity to learn and grow, and that collectively it is our responsibility to ensure high levels of learning for all of them. This achievement is not the end of our journey, though, but a new beginning as we join the 106 campuses in Texas with this recognition. It serves as a foundation upon which we will continue to build and grow. We will keep pushing the boundaries of what we can achieve, seeking new ways to engage, inspire, and empower every student every day. This journey, however, was not taken alone. And in my limited time, I wanted to recognize and thank a few people that helped us along the way. This is by no means an exhaustive list, but for the sake of everybody's time today, I'm just going to point out a few people. So the first people I want to recognize are the countless staff members at Fredonia Early Childhood Center. This includes our teachers' assistants, our support personnel, truly everyone in our Fredonia family. It is through their hard work, blood, sweat, and so very many tears. They laugh because they know. We set a goal to do better for our kids, and ladies, you did it. I wrote in the applause, but not the standing ovation, so good job. And they say when the going gets tough, the tough get going. And the second person is one of the toughest people that I know. So thank you, Dr. Hill, for constantly joining our team during trainings, guiding coalition meetings, and the countless one-on-ones you had with me, where you kindly listened to me rant and rave. It takes a special soul to work with me on a daily basis, and you did it with such grace. It speaks volumes to see you in the trenches with us, engaged in the work, and we could not have asked for a better guide. Well, today is my lucky day because I wanted to recognize this individual that just walked in the room, and I thought I was going to cut him from my script. This man needs no introduction. It is Ralph LaRue. And to build our program required out-of-the-box thinking. It required us to push the envelope not just for NISD standards, but for real standards across the state for what we provide instructionally for our students. And ladies and gentlemen, you're looking at probably the only man that knows more about pre-K and works in his field as a director of facilities than anyone. It is through his grit and a few more gray hairs that I have earned to give him that we were as successful as we are today. So thank you, Ralph, for all that you've done. And lastly, thank you to our school board. Your investment in Solution Tree provided the necessary coaching and professional development for our staffs to attain this honor. They say that the true meaning of life is to plant trees under whose shade you do not expect to sit. Thank you for your investment, and I hope you enjoy the shade. Well, yeah, put in a laugh here. See, we're doing good. So at this time, I invite Darren Grissom, the State Director for Solution Tree, up to the podium to share with you what it means to be recognized as a Model PLC campus. Upon the completion of his section, I would like to ask that members of the Fredonia Early Childhood team, Dr. Hill, Mr. LaRue, Dr. Trujillo, and members of the board join us for a picture as he presents us with our coveted blue flag.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Dr. Trujillo, President Niramon, trustees, I am happy to be here. My name is Darren Grissom. I am the State Executive Director for Solution Tree, and we are excited, thrilled actually, to be here in Nacogdoches. We've been partnering with you all for several years to help grow the capacity of your teachers and provide outcomes for your kids. And I think Mr. Zamanek covered much of what are some of the key tenets of what it is to be a model professional learning community. But there's one thing I think is really important, and that is there is no magic in the PLC process itself. It's 4 very simple questions, and that is, what do you want kids to learn? How will you know they learned it? What are you going to do if they don't? And what are you going to do if they already have mastered that skill? There's no magic in those words themselves. The power of professional learning communities lies within the educators that keep the focus on those questions every single day. And that's the hard work, because that means that every conversation they're having as a team and as an individual educator is focused on the students. And that is the power of professional learning communities, and that is what we're here to celebrate. And this is not an award that can be purchased. It is not an award that is a popularity contest. It doesn't matter how many Solution Tree books you read or conferences you attend or coaching days that you have. There is one key element to being a model professional learning community, and that is 3 years of sustained student growth. This is a reflection of your kids and your community at Fredonia Early Childhood Center thriving. And it is really difficult. You heard Mr. Zamanek say we have 107 as of this morning, model PLCs in the state of Texas. There are only 5 that are early childhood centers. That's it. Yeah. And it's particularly tough because while there are standards for early childhood centers and guidelines, while you're trying to teach the students how to grow and attain skills, you're also trying to teach them how to go to school, right? These are the building blocks that's going to set these students up for success throughout your entire K-12 system here at Nacogdoches. And that is heroes work as far as Solution Tree is concerned. So I'm not going to take up too much more of your time. Thank you for your partnership. We are delighted to be here and recognize the team at Fredonia Early Childhood Center, and we welcome them as our newest Model PLC campus.
Okay, because I'm all about the optics. So pink people, come on up. We gotta get your photo.
Mr. Z,
Ralph, you, oh.
Just
yes,
one
sir.
second.
Oh,
if there's anyone who wants to make a comment, please, feel free.
Well, I would, because I don't know, I like to talk, so I need to say this. I look at the teachers that you have in that program, and I know quite a few of them, and worked with them when I was a school social worker. So I know you have some great, great, great teachers. So thank you for that, because that's what we need.
I want to just say that you had to change to a school to put everybody together, then you had to leave that school and go to a new school, and that's a lot of toting, right? But you overcame, and that's what it's all about. If you want to teach, you overcome, and we really appreciate your overcomer attitude, not just in that corner, but I see it out there too. So keep it up.
And all I want to say is that you are building our future.
Amen.
Amen.
President Fashid, just to put this in perspective, whenever you hear the numbers that you hear, across the district, across the state, we have about 12,700 districts, school districts, okay? But he didn't say school districts, they said campuses. There are over 9,000 schools in the state of Texas. So when the community hears an accolade of being recognized, you are the cream of the cream when it comes to it. And so you got to have it in perspective that you're talking about over 9,000 campuses across the state of Texas that have an opportunity. And one of the things you could put in the hands of the teachers are resources. You could do gadgets, you can get them technology, you can do all the things that they have. But the most valuable tool that we capture is the opportunity for teachers to plan and to work together. I heard a statistic today, and I hope I don't get this wrong, from one of the ladies from Teaching and Learning. And thank you for sharing this today. They said that a teacher by themselves can probably get about 9 months of, see if I get this right, 9 months to catch a kid up. But when teachers work together in collaboration, you get almost a year and a half, if not more, in growth of a student, a year and a half in growth if teachers come together. I hope I didn't butcher that. This is stats that I heard today, and it resonated with me, and it speaks volumes with regards to our PLC. So, Mr. Z, great job in your leadership for the campus. Great job to the teachers and the work that you have, and I can't wait to see these kids be over in that guy's campus one day down the road with our high school principal, because it's how they start determines when they're walking across the stage and how successful they have been. So,
Dr. Trujillo, I would not be fair if I thank you for your vision.
thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
all right,
Go to your
optics.
script.
Pink people, let's come on up here real quick. Board members, Dr. Trujillo, Dr. Hill, and Ralph, we need y'all up here as well, because this is exciting. The blue flags. I'm gonna kiss. I'm gonna wedge my. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna come down here, and there we go. You good? Good. They say you. Thank you for your eyes.
All right, guys, right here on 3. 1, 2, 3. All right.
Thank you.
Good job, yes. Yeah, absolutely. I'll be in touch. Thank you. Congratulations. No, that's amazing.
That was great.
Beautiful.
And now, superintendent's report and announcements.
President Fashid and Board, we have some great information with regards to our band, but I'm going to go a little improv with this, is when we hear about how successful our band has, we want to put it in perspective. Remember, they didn't have a band hall for a fully equipped band hall. We didn't have the turf on the football field. We didn't have asphalt out in the marching area where they're at. So it was a lot of navigating between the high school principal, band director, and the kids and the patients that our families had. So to just slightly go through this and share this, we have to realize, what did it look like for band this year? And to hear the success that they had, this was their journey, and it came into fruition this last couple days ago whenever we were in Waco. But it was, what a performance they did. It was on Tuesday by the Golden Dragons in Waco in the State Military Marching Contest. I can't say enough about Mr. Weems and his marching band. I was a band parent, and I know the amount of work that the parents, staff, and students put together on a daily basis that go into preparing for marching season. I also know what excellent looks like, and our band is excellent. Others do too. I'm reminded last week during the halftime at Texas High, the opposing team, as we sat there, celebrating our band that was on the football field at halftime, they gave the band a standing ovation at the end of the halftime performance. It was wonderful to see and to experience, to stand there and watch the fans from our venue, from where we were at, to stand up and recognize the excellent work and appreciation of our students. Next month, we'll have Mr. Weems and some of our band members here at our board meeting for an official recognition. But I want you all to know just how well they did on Tuesday. We're very proud of our band and the work that they did in Waco. Also, October is National Principals Month. Can I have the principals stand? I know that you're in the room. Principals. Okay. This long celebration is an opportunity, this month-long celebration is it's an opportunity to recognize and be thankful to our leaders, our principals, for their dedication, leadership, and impact they have on their students. I've been there, and I know what it takes to sit behind that desk as far as running a campus, and I know and understand the expectations we place on these men and women to lead these campuses, and I'm truly grateful. We're all grateful for everything they do and contribute to the success we have here in Nacogdoches. McMichael Middle School teacher Pedro Tovar, is he in the room? Do we have him here? Pedro Tovar has been ranked 4th among 6,000 English teachers as a second language teacher in Texas schools. These schools represent about 300 districts in the state. The second-year teacher received the recognition this week from the Texas Bilingual Education Association, and during an event held in McAllen, Mr. Tovar works with students newly arrived in the district and is credited for using innovative teaching methods to help students achieve high marks in the Texas English Language Proficiency Assessment System. Also, NISD Bilingual and English as a Second Language Department received the 2022-23 Promising Practicing Awards last week during the Title I Part A Parent and Family Engagement Conference in Corpus Christi. The award recognizes and celebrates the contributions made by the department headed by Dr. Evelyn Salceda, NISD's Executive Director of Bilingual and ESL and Development of the Alancia Conexión Hispana Advisory Committee, a groundbreaking initiative that aims to enhance communication, representation of parents and stakeholders, and participation within our district. I want to publicly recognize Mr. Montoya. He regularly attends the Conexión, and we appreciate him being there and supporting this amazing committee. Nacogdoches High School had a number of students make the sale earlier this month at the 2023 Pine Woods Fair. We had students from NHS and the younger students from other campuses showing animals and displaying shop projects. In fact, several of our high school shop projects placed in the competition and entered into the sale held on Saturday. Congratulations to these students and our CTE department. So, President Fashid and Board, that's all I have for this evening.
Thank you. That's all good news. And now we are on a portion of the public comment, and we have not received any request to address the board. However, if there is anyone who is interested to address the board in the future, all the instructions how to sign up is listed with the notice of meetings. Now, we're in the consent agenda. Unless removed from the consent agenda, all items listed will be acted on with one motion. If there is a board member who wishes to discuss an item in consent agenda separately, please indicate the agenda letter, and it will be put aside for separate voting and discussions. If not, I seek a motion.
I move that we approve the consent agenda as printed here.
I'll second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same sign. Thank you. Discussion action agenda. We have two items on the discussion and portion of the agenda. First, there is no action resulting of executive closed session meeting and discussions. Second, consideration of purchase of real property presented by Ms.
President Nerman, I'd like to make a motion that the board consider adopting the following resolution for declaring intention to sell certain identified real estate property as it is being read. Whereas, pursuant to Chapters 272 of the Texas Local Government Code, the Nacogdoches Independent School District may authorize the sale of real property owned by the district. Whereas the district owns approximately 11.2 acres of real property located at 1005 Leroy Street, Nacogdoches, Texas, 75961, a.k.a. Lots 9 and 10, Block 57, City of Nacogdoches. Such property, largely unimproved, with the exception of one metal building in the northeast corner, measuring approximately 60 feet by 100 feet, more particularly described in the attached Exhibit A. Whereas the district has no specific current or intended future use of the property and desires to and believes it is in the best interest of the district to offer the property for sale through a sealed bid process as required by Texas Local Government Code Section 272.001A, including providing the appropriate notice to the general public of the offer of property for sale. Now therefore, be it resolved that the statements contained in the preamble herein above are true and correct. The Board of Trustees hereby authorizes the sale of the property in accordance with Chapter 272 of the Texas Local Government Code and Texas Education Code, Section 11.154. The Board of Trustees authorizes the superintendent to provide notice of the acceptance of sealed bids for the sale of the property to the general public in a newspaper of general circulation in the county where the property is located in accordance with Local Government Code Chapter 272 and by additional means deemed appropriate by the superintendent. The Board of Trustees authorizes the superintendent to create bid specifications for the offer of sale of the property through consultation with the district's attorney, such specifications to include a minimum bid price of $170,000, that the property inclusive of the metal building will be sold as is condition with all faults and no representations or warranties as to the suitability of the property or any improvements, desirable contractual terms established through consultation between the superintendent and district attorney, and that the district specifically reserves the right to reject any and all bids, including the right to not accept any bid or offer as allowed by Texas Local Government Code Section 272.001A. The superintendent is authorized to accept and review the bids and make a recommendation to the Board of Trustees of the best value bid based on the bid specifications, such recommendation being subject to final approval by the Board of Trustees, and any offer to purchase the property from a bidder is subject to final approval by the Board of Trustees. I make a motion that the board accept this reading of the resolution.
Incidentally, that property is old Emmeline Carpenter School. Okay,
I'll
the
second.
motion's made. And Ms. Winslow, you make the second. All in favor, indicate saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same side. Let's moving on. Thank you. Now we have a report. Tonight we have 4 reports, starting with bilingual program annual evaluation. Dr. Salcedo, Executive Director. Before you start, Dr. Salcedo, I know you have been receiving a lot of accolade lately. You are well-deserved, and congratulations.
Good evening, President Nierman, board members, Superintendent Dr. Trujillo. This is a very short report that we have to do annually as part of our program compliance. And you're going to hear just 5 different things. The number 1 is the academic progress of our emerging bilingual students. We have to also look at the extent into which they learn English and their English proficiency. Also, the number of students who have been exited from the program, which is something that we want for all our students as soon as possible. And the professional development and all the efforts that we're doing to support that language acquisition, not only for students, but for teachers. And also the bilingual exception and ESL waivers for this year. The first thing that I would like to start is the numbers. The first number is the total number of emerging bilinguals, and that's as far as a couple of weeks. And that is just because, as you know, every week we get to have new students coming into our schools. We also have migrant students, and these are students that are coming from migratory or agricultural workers or just different families. We have to have a special program for them, and we have 7. We also have immigrant students, and those are students that have been born outside the U.S. and have been in the U.S. schools for less than 3 years. We have 80. Now, if you can see, the next number is the newcomer students. Right now, we have 140. The difference is that some of those students could be born in or outside the U.S. schools. They have also been in the country for less than 3 years. That tells you, when you compare immigrant students and newcomer students, that about 160 students actually were probably born in the U.S., but they went back to Mexico. But then they came back, and they have no experience, no language, so we have to provide services as well. We have 240 students who are monitors. Those are the ones that we continue monitoring their academic and linguistic progress for 3 years after their exit the program. Now, last year, 18 students reclassified. We like to see the progression of our students. So I like this table because it shows how many students, emerging bilinguals, we have classified in 2009 all the way to 2023. Not only that, you see the table below. We have how many students we have as far as migrant students. We cannot continue having the same compared to last year. Immigrant students, we almost doubled those numbers. And we are hoping to see more numbers, more immigrant students coming in the upcoming weeks and actually this year. Monitor students, we have 240, and we do not know how many we will reclassify because we usually know that at the end of the school year, but the 18 is from last school year. Those are the students, the languages that are spoken in our district. This is important because by Texas law, every time we have a language in which they speak more than 20 students in the same grade level, we must provide a bilingual program for that specific language. Right now, the only program where we have more than 20 students in the same grade level is Spanish. This is just a picture or a table which shows the different types of emerging bilinguals that we serve, and every single one of them has different unique needs, and we have to put special attention to every single one of them. This table shows our dual language classrooms. Fredonia Early Childhood has 4. Everyone else, we have the dual language program at Mimosas Middle School, TJR, and Bruce Quinn Jones, and it shows the grade levels where that are being offered on those campuses. This table shows the exceptions and ESL waivers that are projected for the school year. That means that every time that we have a teacher that is not bilingual certified or ESL certified serving emerging bilingual students, we have to request TA for example, in the case of bilingual teachers, for bilingual exceptions or for ESL waivers. This is important because we must provide the training and the support, and that's why we have a team, because even though it might be a brand new teacher who just graduated, or a teacher who is doing their teacher preparation program, so they have to work on their teacher certification first, and then work into getting their ESL or bilingual certification. This is our bilingual and ESL team. We're very thankful to have all those individuals in our team, just because if we kind of think about the total student population is almost 1/3 of the total student population, but only those people kind of help and support campuses and students as well. And this is very important because one of the main things that we have to ensure is that looking at our students' academic progress from a different lens. We work really closely with teaching and learning and with campuses to make sure that all students are making progress, but at the same time, we have to put that lens and see, okay, how are our students, or asking those questions, are students making progress over the year? How are our students compared to all the students? And then looking at the specific areas, and I'm going to give you an example. For example, English 1 is really, really difficult for our students. And that is because they are required to write an essay, and the level of English proficiency is really, really high, which if you compare English 2 is not that high. But then when we see and look at, for example, math or the reading language arts, we also think about how those tests are affected by their language proficiency. So that's how we target and provide that support for them. But we want to make sure that, once again, we work with teaching and learning, and we work with the principals to make sure that our students are receiving the additional supports that they need in the classroom to be successful. Along with that, and this is the science and social studies and writing. If you see, for example, science and social studies, there are some concepts or some topics that have high academic content. There's something that we call cognates that are like, the words are very similar, but there are some subjects in which the words in English and Spanish are not really similar, so the students have to really learn a lot of vocabulary, thinking about your biology, your history, your chemistry. So those are very difficult for our students. We also have to look at the TELPAS proficiency, which is the way that Texas looks at the way that our students are learning English. We look at different areas. This table just shows the overall percentage that covers reading, writing, listening, and speaking. One of the things that we want to make sure is that if you see the colors, the blue for beginner, the red for intermediate, yellow for advanced, and the green for advanced high, one of the interesting things that students need to be able to exit the program is that they must have advanced high in all areas, the reading, listening, speaking, and writing. So we want to monitor and see, okay, how can we support the students to move from, to advance the level at least every year. And then also, if you notice the lower grade levels, you will see that there's more beginners. If you see that continuation of that blue, that kind of shows that those are your newcomer students, so you will continue seeing those beginners even in middle school and high school. Now, some of the supports that we have to provide, and we're actually providing this year, we have student language goals conferences. We have a new program that is called Summit K-12, which is one of the only programs that actually targets TELPAS If you can think about STAR, we have a lot of programs and release tests for STAR and EOCs. For TELPAS, there's no such a thing. So it is really difficult because you have to measure the students' language proficiency, and it is very difficult to monitor. But that program has been very useful to help our students. We also have shelter instruction strategies. We have a 5-year professional development plan that we have been using. In that, we have the 7 steps to reach an interactive classroom. And then this year, we brought from the same authors, Small Moves and Big Gains, that we actually train all campuses, all the way from kindergarten to high school. The nice thing about these strategies is that are good for all grade levels, all subjects, all students, not just for emerging bilingual, so we can all talk the same language. We also provide campus individualized training, and this year we're going to bring something new, which are students TELPAS boot camps, which is like a fun and entertaining way to prepare our students for TELPAS. And this picture just shows the strategies in the book that we are using, like district-wide. And then we also try to support staff, and we always ask principals to give us a time to share, and a lot of them do, so we try to collaborate with them for our professional development. Title III compliance is one of our other hats that we wear. This year we have the Parent Resource Fair for a week with the Mexican consulate, and we have almost 600 families attended. We will have Dia de los Muertos with downtown Nacogdoches. This in 2 weeks. And we have Parent Advisory Committee. We have monthly meetings. We are thinking about having Dia del Niño. We're not doing Cinco de Mayo this year because we want to support the other campuses who also do Cinco de Mayo. So we're doing Dia del Niño, which is Day of the Child, hopefully in October. Yes, April. Yes, as you can see, we're really proud. Just in 1 year, we have, as a department, won 5 collective awards, and I have to share that just because it's really a team effort, so we are very proud of that. And we could not do anything without the support, and I have to give a special recognition to our bilingual teachers and staff, just because they get to do all the work, and this is not including all the ESL teachers and all the teachers that get to teach our students, so we are very thankful for them. And lastly, if you have not joined our Facebook page, we invite you to join. And at this point, if you have any questions, I hope to answer.
That's great. Thank you.
Okay.
I just want to say thank you to you and your staff. You guys have really turned things around with the bilingual education program. You have involved the community, you have involved parents, and that fills my heart really well, especially when I come to those meetings, because the parents are committed and wanting to be part of this group and doing what's right for their kids, and that says a lot for your staff. Thank you so much, Dr. Salcedo.
And thank you for your support.
Dr. Salcedo, I've given a lot of thought of what I wanted to say to you and the members of your department about the importance of the work that you guys do. And so, if you'll forgive me, I actually wrote it out. I'm doing a lot of reading today, aren't I? Dr. Salcedo, thank you for giving us such a detailed report on the variety of students we serve at NISD and how we are serving them through the bilingual, English as a second language, and migrant programs. I'm especially grateful to you for including these past 2 years an in-depth breakdown on the many different languages and cultures our students represent. Truly, the world has become much smaller than my schoolgirl days. I've also thought back to my past teaching days at NHS and realized I've had the privilege of teaching and getting to know students from the Philippines, Thailand, India, Iran, Korea, Russia, and numerous Central and South American countries, as well as Mexico. English as a second language not only benefits our new international students, enabling success in English-speaking world to which they've come, but I bring this up, because such a wide assortment of NISD's student body adds a learning experience one can't get from mere books. I'm also excited that we've reinstated the Japanese exchange program this year. Mark Twain wrote, "Travel is fatal to prejudice, bigotry, and narrow-mindedness. Now, I realize the author of Tom Sawyer and Huck Finn is the last person you'd want to take seriously, but he was a world traveler, and he was absolutely correct in stating that ignorance breeds exclusiveness and bigotry. My daughters getting to go to school at NISD with students whose heart languages and family heritage were something other than North American enriched their education and gave my daughters experiences which built their confidence for future interaction with the real and increasingly smaller world around us. I'm very proud of what you are doing here and of NISD's accomplishments in this area. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I would like to say something in English,
Yes.
although I could tell you in Spanish. You have a wonderful team that is more than competent. They're compassionate. They identify with your students, and they instruct them and lead them and teach them, and they model for them. And that begins with you and everyone below your level of leadership. This is very important because the number of bilingual people that we have is continuing to increase. And what I see is we have good traction. We have good traction because we have good teachers prepared and willing to sweat bullets to get the job done. And I know you've done a lot of that. And we see great things on this piece of paper of all the awards, but your awards are the lives that you're changing. That's the award that lives forever. Thank you.
Ms. Saucedo, I want to make a comment. I pointed myself. I came here at the age of 24, and I could not speak one word in English. I could tell if I had learned English at early ages, I probably would. I enjoyed what I did. I'm very proud of the work that I did. I probably would have a different lifestyle by far. I could say thank you for what you do.
And I can say thank you to all of you and NISD, just because, as everyone knows, I'm the product of a great education, because I was one of those numbers. I was a newcomer student who came here, and I didn't speak English. Just the fact that I'm here, able to express, and that I have a doctorate degree was because many teachers back in the day, I graduated in 2000, so give me that inspiration and that hope that, yes, I can achieve more, and yes, I can be part of the change, and I'm thankful. So yes, I relate 100%. So I'm here because I love this, and I love our town, our people, and our teachers, so thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Apple. Oh, gosh. Annual report, data review, presenter Dr. Jolene Corley, Executive Director, and Ms. Ashley Boyett, the Director.
Good evening, President Nuramon, Board of Trustees, and Superintendent Trujillo. I will be presenting the annual data report for the district this evening with my colleague, Ashley Boyett. She is our Director of Assessment and Accountability. The first section of this report will include a longitudinal view of student and staff attendance. Please note that the asterisk on the chart indicates a program or campus change, specifically for school year 22-23. For example, last year was the first year of enrollment for Mike Moses Elementary and for Nettie Marshall Early Childhood Center. So when comparing district and campus data to previous years, the results show growth with the exception of Margie Chumley Academy for Success. Next, we will see a longitudinal comparison of staff attendance. This data set reports the number of entered absences for personal illness. The view represents a decline in staff absences for school year 22-23, or you could say an increase in staff attendance. And for our secondary campuses, we also see a decline in our reported absences for fall 22 to spring 23. I do want to point out, at McMichael Middle School, denoted by the asterisk, that was our first year when we combined our campuses. So when you see a different percentage there, we can account that to the increase in enrollment, which in turn was the increase of our staff.
Good evening, President Nermon, board members, and Dr. Trujillo. We're now going to take a look at our staff vacancies and the long-term sub-data. For our elementary schools, we had an average of a 19-to-1 student-teacher ratio. We had 1,035 full-time staff members. 458 of those were full-time teachers, and the average salary was $48,751. There were 20 long-term subs vacancies last year. 9 of them were at McMichael, 5 at Moses, 3 at the high school, and 1 each at BQJ, Regay, and TJR. We had 125 substitutes that included for teachers and for aides. 24 of them were long-term subs that we used to cover prolonged medical leaves and maternity leaves.
The Texas Education Agency requires districts across the state to administer specific assessments in pre-kindergarten through 2nd grade at the beginning, middle, and the end of the school year. The data collected is utilized by district and campus administrators to plan for targeted instruction, set student goals, and partner with parents and guardians in their child's learning experience. The district administers the Circle assessment for both reading and math for pre-kindergarten and administers M-Class for reading in kindergarten, 1st, and 2nd grade. Pre-kindergarten Circle reports on the far left column indicate growth for all measures and overall at the end of year for pre-kindergarten in reading and math. The next 3 slides will include data results for kindergarten, 1st, and 2nd grade. Our focus will be on the green bar, which indicates at benchmark, and the blue, which indicates above benchmark percentages. Kindergarten students' performance increased from beginning of year to end of year and remain within a 6-point range from end of year 22 to end of year 23. In 1st grade, student performance increased from beginning of year to end of year and remain within a 5-point range from end of year 22 to end of year 23. And then finally, our 2nd grade students followed the same trend with growth from beginning of year to end of year and had a 5-point gain from end of year 22 to end of year 23. Our next section focuses on our STAR state assessment. And before I turn that over to Mrs. Boyette, I would like to preface this section because of the many, many changes that our districts across the state have encountered with our new STAR 2.0 redesign. The importance of framing this is that our data results for last year, for school year 22-23, is actually a baseline. So in the past, we've been able to look at our data and analyze it differently, for example, cohort to cohort, year to year. And we have to keep in mind that there's been a lot of changes in the state assessment. This included new blueprints, new raw score conversion charts. It included new test items. Our students had the opportunity to practice these items prior to the test. We rolled out new STAR test items. In addition to that, when we received our preliminary results in late spring, the descriptors for student performance were likely did not pass, zone of uncertainty, and likely passed. On August 17th, districts across the state received results with performance level descriptors for approaches, meets, and master's grade levels. But again, those STAR conversion charts were different when compared to previous years. On September 12th, the Texas Education Agency issued to the administrator address letter stating that we would have delays in our accountability ratings and that some of the calculations and methodologies for specific domains would be adjusted. And so with this being said, we will be looking at the following slides with Mrs. Boyette as a baseline.
So along with all of the changes in methodology and everything else, this state also gave us new question types for this school year. So these are 2 questions from the 3rd grade math assessment, and it represents the different types of questionings that our students saw. So the first question, what are some of the benefits of saving money? And the student has to select 2 answers, and this is the first time that they've ever had to select more than one correct choice. And the fact that a 3rd grader has to know what are benefits of saving money, they need to know that it's to prepare to pay for college, and then also help for unplanned needs. And so a 3rd grader trying to know the difference between needs and wants and an unplanned need, is just a very rigorous higher level of thinking than we've seen before. The second question is a drag and drop type question, and so this is where students had to create the sentence with the word bank that was given to them, and you can see there are more words than there are blanks to fill in the words, and so it just is a higher level of rigor than we've seen in the STAR before. So here's just some of the STAR data that we see by subject and by grade. Notice that the yellow bars are the state scores, and then the colored bars represent the different school years. The black bar represents the STAR redesign, the STAR 2.0, and we put that in there just to make a representation of the baseline changes that the state has made. So in the 22-23 school year, the state averages remained pretty constant with 76 to 77% passing. We saw similar things with the 3rd and 5th grade. They grew 2 to 3 points, but a 9-point decrease in 4th grade. And we use these scores for an instructional baseline so that we can see the standards that have been taught, and we can adjust things to see what needs to happen at the learning target level for our students. In 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade, we saw a decrease compared to 2022, but in 7th and 8th grade, the state also showed a decrease. In 3rd and 4th grade math, there was a decrease, but 5th grade math stood steady with a 1-point increase. 6th grade math had an increase of 9 points, even though the state only had 1 point of growth, and 7th and 8th grade had a slight decrease. 5th and 8th grade science showed a decrease, but you can also see the sharp decrease in the state scores from a 96% to a 72%, which represents the difficulty of the test for this school year. 8th grade social studies had a dip in scores, but the students in 8th grade that took the Algebra 1 test had an increase, and you can see that they are 10 points above the state, so they did really well at 98%. English 1 and English 2 both had an increase. Algebra, biology, and U.S. history had an increase, and algebra increased by 16 points and U.S. history by 10.
To conclude our presentation this evening, we will review student outcome goals that were established in 2019 from House Bill 3. The goal is to improve incrementally to reach the state goal that was set by Texas, that by school year 2030, we would have 60% of students in 3rd grade reading and math performing at meets grade level or above. And so this chart may look familiar. We set our baseline in 1819, and you can see 1920, we denoted there with our COVID school closure, and each year we have an incremental goal that we strive to meet that's aligned to our district improvement plan. We also have a row following each goal that says what our actual results were. And so this is allowing us to look at our data longitudinally year to year, so that we are striving to meet the state goal in 2030 that 60% of our 3rd grade students will be on that performance level for reading and math. It's indicated here that all students on the actual results for 22-23 for the third grade reading, we were at 29%, and again, that's at meets and masters grade level. Whereas goal 2, which is our math, shows our actual results at 20% for meets and masters. In addition to reading and math, part of the House Goal 3 data collection includes college, career, military readiness, and these actual results have not been released for school year 22-23, as they're part of the accountability calculations that are currently pending. So as soon as we receive our final results and our taper reports, these 3 charts for House Goal 3 will be updated. At this time, we'd like to field any questions that you may have.
They want us to talk?
I can talk. There's principals back here. You get your kids to school. That's how we get them educated, you and your team. So thank you for that. We also get paid for that, so that helps us. Number 2, we have short memories. We were here with COVID, and we have students and teachers, and we are all scarred. I have a scar that's been on my leg since I was about 12. It's never going to go away. Well, we have that scar. It's a COVID scar. And we have a learning deficit from that scar. And I want to say we have gritty teachers in this school district who will not give up on any student, and that I respect deeply. And I want to encourage every one of us to do our very best to help those teachers do their jobs even better, because their grit and their no give up, and just like I used earlier, they're overcomers, and we want to put that into our students and get them to be overcomers regardless of what kind of scars they have. So thank you for bringing this report.
Well done. Now, item C is construction update. Our superintendent, Dr. Trujillo.
Coach Rashid and board, I'm going to tag team with Lisa this evening, and so I'm going to take the first portion of the presentation to present the construction update. But there's a lot of work that went behind this. Mr. LaRue was a critical component that was brought in at the very beginning with Army, and have led in a lot of critical conversations, a lot of critical interactions throughout this, and it hasn't stopped yet. We're still hashing through some things that need to be done, and you'll see in the presentation that fixing to give you. First, in 2018, we want to once again thank the community for the bond that was successfully passed to do and provide some of the work. You're seeing a couple of images here of the projects that we're going to give you a little bit of an overview tonight of what's been completed. We'll begin first with transportation. Early on, when we began this, they took the facilities committee and also created CBRIC, and was able to do a lot to do a lot of the pre-planning before we actually got launched. And we have a state-of-the-art transportation building that is now used and to provide a lot of our training, not just for our community, but also in the surrounding communities. And it couldn't be done without the group of folks right there on the left. Those are the smiling folks that see the kids at first thing in the morning before they come to school, and they see them off. They can tell you if a kid will have a successful day at school, and they will also tell you how successful they were when they're taking them home. So they're the first ones they see and the last ones they see. We did a lot of this for this group of folks to give them a great facility. One of the things that, if you're reminded about this, we can actually take 6 buses and put them in the bays, rear end to front end, all the way through there, and put our buses to work in there, be able to do the work that we need to do out of the elements, and provide a great working environment for transportation. The fuel container you see down there during some of the weather storms that we've had has come in pretty healthy. Also, the fluctuation of gas prices and fuel prices, we've been able to also be responsible with purchasing fuel in bulk and being able to keep it for us. So a lot of great things that came out of that transportation building that we have. Then we have Emmeline Carpenter, the new campus. Beautiful layout for our building, state-of-the-art. It's kind of the flagship in East Texas with a lot of the schools being able to see this campus. Our community is extremely proud of what we have there for our students. Well-deserved and well-needed for our students. We had the ribbon-cutting ceremony, well-received, well-attended by the Carpenter family as well. They came out and supported us as we broke ground with that facility. And then we have the District Support Center. A nice location. We were able to acquire it with a nice price during the time of its purchase and relocate the staff, the District Support Center and all the support that we have that's there for our folks. It's an exciting location, and we're excited about some of the things that are still going to be going on at that location, and we'll talk about those shortly. The Malcolm Rector Center for Advanced Career and Innovation, what a jewel that has been. That's a little bit different when it comes to the construction because we were actually living in it and doing construction at the same time. So I applaud a couple of years of our high school and teaching staff that had to navigate this, moving around, living out of boxes, but it was an amazing accomplishment for us. We provide a state-of-the-art programming for our students, and it's the facility that's able to provide that service to our students. We're changing lives through our CTE programming and the facilities that we have, but it's not just that building that actually was updated, it's also the existing building. Those folks that came in and had the homecoming time when they were able to come back and visit the campuses, they no longer got lost in that back portion of the high school because it went through a renovation. They were able to see a lot of the work that was done, and it's exciting. What's exciting about this side of it, and it had a lot to do with planning with Mr. LaRue and Army. The bottom right picture, if you see down there, our kids are being prepared for real world. And when I say real world, that means they're working in the elements. They're working in the cold, they're working in the heat, they're sweating, and they're out there. They're not in a classroom. So if we're going to prepare them for that working environment, they're going to have to learn that they're working in construction out in the heat. They're going to have to know that they're going to be out there touching some metal that is extremely hot. That's the real world, and that's what I appreciate the forethought of Army and also Ralph in the design that we have. The other thing that they planned ahead, not knowing the safety implications that we have, is they gated that area before the state even said we had to gate areas up. So when we were able to jump in and do our CTE programming, we were already ahead of the game. It's almost like Ralph knew something was happening at the state level, and we were able to put fences up and get it all ready so kids can actually go out there and work and be in a safe environment. Pretty exciting area. Auto trades, all of it is just amazing what we're able to provide our students. McMichael, although this campus you would think was probably one of the easiest places to do the work because we were just extending classrooms, I will go on the record and say this building seemed to probably give us the most headache with regards to a lot of water intrusion. I think this building flooded a few times, and we had to do not just the work in the areas that needed to be done, but also go back and clean up the existing area. Also, Ralph, I believe by the time we were done with this, we were maybe down 5 construction superintendents or more. So it was hard to keep the leadership of the team that's there, but I will tell you, Mr. LaRue kept his white truck always pulled up. I think some of those guys, when they saw that white truck, they ran inside real quick, especially our superintendents, because he was leaning in heavy with them. Down in the center of that photo, you'll see a nice facility. That is, remember, it was, we will look at it if we have the funds for it, which is the facility, the bathroom, because we were talking about drainage. We didn't know how that drainage was going to happen, but we have that set up there where there is a restroom facility out there now for our McMichael families to utilize. Beautiful setup, beautiful facility, able to accommodate the large capacity of that middle school campus that we have there. Then we travel over to Mike Moses, changed the face a little bit of Mike Moses with regards to didn't do the extensive work that we know that building, along with a lot of other of our buildings need, but we did have to convert this building from a middle school to an elementary, so there were a few things that we wanted to make sure we took care of. Flooring and painting and getting it all set up for it, the terrazzo, getting it all ready for the new academic year for servicing elementary schools kiddos. Then you heard tonight from Fredonia, Mr. Z, and a lot of preparation. We had some time to really dive into this building to get it prepared to receive the students, and this year is the first year we're actually occupying that building. Even though it was vacated last year, we were just doing a lot of work and allowed our team uninterrupted time for a full year to go in there and get the work that really needs to be done and do some amazing things for that campus that really you don't see anywhere else. And that becomes the vision of the principal of the campus with a home-style cafeteria type. I will tell you one thing to note is when you look at kitchens for cooking purposes, for emergencies down the line, if we ever had to do an emergency, you always have to plan, where can we make food? This is a kitchen here that actually makes food. I mean, it's they serve it just like home style. It's a learning curve for the staff there. It's a little bit different than the rest of the staff, not only for the cafeteria, but also the teaching staff. So it's a great little facility that we have up in this location. And I love the Crayolas in the front. That was a great add to the campus, kind of tells folks, hey, welcome to our campus. And so excited about what we have there. Then we completed a lot of work around the side, re-trafficking. We had a visit today from one of our ambassadors that the board members selected to represent. And one of the ambassadors said he lives pretty close to this campus, and when he drinks his cup of coffee, it pleases him. He looks across the way and he sees that traffic flows like melting butter. It just flows through there quickly. There's not a lot of traffic flow that's there. Another individual even asked, it's an ambassador's, is do we have flashing yellow lights on South Street anymore? Because the traffic doesn't slow down as they're going through South Street. So a lot of times you can see that good planning can help us address some poor situations that have implications beyond the campus. So we're excited about the work that Mr. Z and his teachers are doing at Fredonia and our students. And by the way, this building here had an occupancy of about, I believe it's 340 students, 320 kids, right, Mr. Z? And they had more kids wanting to come to the building than the capacity of the campus. So it speaks volumes that we do have a need, and it was a brilliant plan for this board to really look at the Early Childhood Center to see how we can service and prepare students for their trajectories and moving forward. We show you this because, you know, you have little people. And so when you have little people, you have to go in there and have a lot of negotiations. I would love to have been a fly on the wall with a lot of the conversations between Mr. Z and Ralph. Because Ralph just gives you a look like you want what? Okay, but anyway, I'm going to leave it with that because it's just pleasant to see the work and the culminating setup that they've come up with for that particular campus. It's a great place to walk and see the littles walking in and around throughout the building. You can see the learning and everything. Also, if you look really closely at the right picture over there, you either see a real little pre-K student or you see Mr. Z. He's in there somewhere. He's buried in with the kiddos. So we've got the ribbon cutting. We had a great support. Mr. Fraley has been honoring us repeatedly to come back and celebrate and see some of the things that in the vision that was created and how we followed through with that commitment for our community. So we're excited about that. The playground is an educational experience all by itself as well. It was well thought out. I think also the partnership that campus is having with Head Start is allowing us to tap into a lot of other resources that it wouldn't just be the school district with this. So when Head Start comes in and says, hey, we got this amount of money that we want to spend and we want to put a playground in, that's great partnership. That's great relationships that we're building. So it's all benefiting our students, all of our Nacogdoches ISD kids. So exciting things happening at Fredonia, and that building is off and running. It doesn't take much. If you go by the football stadium, you're going to notice that the press box is completed. It's done. It serves a lot of other purposes with regards to our CTE. We have high school kids that come up there and they do a lot of the broadcasting. If you've tuned in on those away football games and you see the camera moving around a lot, that's our kids. They're broadcasting and getting that. So it's a beautiful facility. We worked a little bit differently with this, and I appreciate, once again, I keep putting Ralph out here because Ralph is everywhere and nowhere. He's everywhere and nowhere. We talked about the press box and seeing how can we maximize the space there, and we were able to do some things here, not just to our press box, but also railing. I want to say this respectfully, but we kind of segregated the stands, because at a certain age, you didn't go further up. Because it became dangerous to walk up. So we have more of our senior folks stay closer to the bottom because it becomes a little bit more hazardous as you're moving up. But the railing has adjusted that. It's celebrated. They're able to make their way up and down. You're not making friends coming back with complete strangers by touching them on their shoulder as you're walking down to keep yourself from falling over. So I appreciate the work that we've done there. That was just an add-on. Ralph, thank you so much for your team getting that accomplished for us, for our students. Inside is beautiful. Our coaches have the new carpet, the paint, the bathroom, all of that space that's in there, and we have not really increased square footage. Their square footage for this is really when you look across from that stadium and you're at the other press box. This view, you're sitting at the other press box looking at our home press box, and what you'll see is this press box. This is on the other side of it. It's for a visiting team, but there's also a purpose for this. If you notice, you can also see through the window, you can look through that window and see another window on the backside. It also serves for a safety venue, a bird's eye view to kind of look at, especially for track and field events. You can actually see a 360-degree view all the way around, especially if you get up on top and you're in the catwalk on the top, you're able to walk around to that facility that's there. So it allows us to increase the footprint of our coaching staff, but also allow the visiting team a location where they're able to go over to that side of the building and the stadium and be able at that facility. Inside the facility, it's a modular unit. It stressed me out like to no end that this was delivered on homecoming day. The cranes were up. I was making phone calls, making sure, hey, are the cranes still there? Because we're getting ready for that homecoming celebration. But boy, these guys are awesome. They got in there, they set it up, bolted it down, and then they went on their way. So this modular unit, I don't know, Ralph, I don't think they did anything inside. It was ready to go. They just plugged and played, right? So it's a plug-and-play building, and the cost was very, very beneficial for us with regards to saving and being able to do other things with the revenue that we have from the bond. The back side of the bond, we want to make sure we didn't do this to scare the little ones, but you'll see two good-looking dragons peering down at you on the home side. It's an amazing, you can see the backdrop. I've seen a lot of students come up and take photos. It's an area there that our families are able to enjoy as they're coming to the home side. If you'll notice, the paving on the parking lot was also done during this time. It was exciting to see some things there. Ralph helped me solve a problem that's been going on since the 80s, which is put a little bit of a curb on that parking lot on the backside of it for water flow. Just to keep the water flow, maybe to help us out. And so the guys who laid the asphalt were able to put that on the backside of that parking lot. The band, they had, once again, we talked about it earlier, they didn't have a place to practice, but now they have all their lines and everything set up. We removed the light poles that were in the center. It was interesting to watch them practice because they had to maneuver around obstacles. Well, there's no longer there. In the design that they've created, the lighting system is state-of-the-art LED lights that lights up and really puts a safe parking lot for all of our folks, from the football field to the backside of the bus area, all the way down to the baseball field. It lights up really beautifully for our fans. Then you get to the front of the high school. They were able to do some great things. You were able to see it during the summertime when they trimmed up the trees, made it look really nice, and also redid the parking lot that we had taken care of with regards to the parking lot, and they restriped it and got everything set up. The priority maintenance items that we have, a lot of the items here, thank goodness for some of our ESSER funds that came in, we were able to redirect a lot of these by reading in and saying that, air quality was some of the things that we can address. So when you see HVAC system, a lot of times we were able to utilize ESSER funds and then redirect the bond funds to things that we know that were a priority. For instance, the restroom facility over at McMichael was able to be taken care of and do those things there as we needed to. Just one example that I would give you. Then we have other priority maintenance items that dealt with asbestos abatement. I'm telling you, anytime somebody moves something, I cringe because I think I'm going to get a call from Ralph that says that we need an abatement. So we abated several locations, including this building here, and did several items with regards to replacements and repairs of the greenhouse and all of the things that are listed there. Rekeying, we did some things with regards to the elevator that we had at the high school. Some of the future projects that we have is at the plant services, the paving, the roofing, the flooring, the storage building. We want to make sure that we take care of the folks that take care of the rest of the folks. And where do we park our vehicles? How do we store our vehicles? Where do things arrive? So we want to take care of our plant services and make sure that our guys that come in, they have a nice, safe environment where they can store things, pull their vehicles in. We don't have to worry about knocking an axle out, driving through the plant maintenance field at their building. So also Nettie Marshall, with regards to the remodeling and the transition that we'll be doing, and the McMichael Fine Arts remodel with regards to what we have there for the band equipment and some of the things that they have over at McMichael. The storm came through and gave us a little bit of a gift by doing some things, and we were able to address them. First was the band hall. I know there were some opinions and some conversation with regards to why did it take so long? Well, we had school going on and we couldn't get in there and do the things that needed to do, so we had to take care of it in the summer. And so when we took care of it in the summer, that means band was not able to have a location in the band hall. And I think upwards of 3 inches of water came through there and damaged a lot of the band hall area, and went in there and replaced a lot of things in order to get it safe for our students. Another area was the DSC. We were baptized by water. That's no other way I could put it. Water came in from one end to the other and went all the way through, cleansed it really good, and we had to relocate during that time with regards to the water damage that we had sustained at that. And SurfPro repeatedly has been a great partner to have and to support us in all of the misfortunes that we've had with regards to this. Right now, we're waiting to get them striped. It's a different contract, but we've got the tracks done. McMichael had a little bit more work to do than the high school, but the tracks are ready to go and get ready for a great season this year with our kids. It's also a place that our community can feel very safe in their evening walks. They know it's very well taken care of. They're not going to trip on a patch or anything that we have. There's no patching with this. It's been thoroughly taken care of, both tracks, with regards to keeping it safe. Then we found something out with the football field. It floated, and then it settled, and then it dried up like concrete. So all those things didn't make it conducive to a great football season. And so the timing was pretty impeccable because our folks that were able to do the work for us were already in Garrison. I apologize to Garrison because we kind of bumped them a little bit. I think it was Garrison that was doing the football field, and they were scheduled to go to Garrison and get done, but we jumped right in front of them, and they were able to take care of us pretty quickly, remove the turf. And by the way, when you see the turf out on the loop and the guy selling it, it wasn't any good for football. Now, they're using it for other things. They can use it out in the lawn. You can do other things with it, but not for the safety of our students. So we were already scheduled to replace this in 2024, We just got ahead of the game and did it a year earlier with regards to the stadium. They're taking it up. They were pretty diligent. They went down and they redid all of it. They went down to the gravel portion of it, drainage, did all of the work that they needed to have, and came up with this beautiful design. I love the design. It was the alternating colors that we have, which is what you see in a lot of the stadiums that are being redone. We're really excited about this facility, and we have everyone from the middle schools to the high school to our band, and all of our students are benefiting from this. You also notice in the back far corner of the right, the picture, there's a lot of other areas that did not have AstroTurf, so we were able to take care of all of that. So any kind of activity that's going on in that area, it provides an opportunity for the students to have an AstroTurf area to accommodate the need for whatever they're doing with regards to any of the programming they're doing at the high school. Unfortunately, the wind blew, and when the wind blew, we didn't know that our lights were on a pivot. They pivoted and they turned, and so we were able to do some things that needed to be done with the lights. We had a couple lights that were out, so while they were there, we had the cranes come in and they actually reset the lights and also replaced some lighting system that was there for our students with regards to the lighting. Other projects that we're looking at, if you look to the left, that was the old way of wiring that we had. Over to the right is the new way of wiring. And so we were able to redo the wiring systems at a lot of our locations to make sure that it expedites if any repairs or any connections or anything we need to have. We want to make sure that how can we efficiently and effectively do this. So we were able to do some of our rewiring in all of our sites. Not only there, but we also looked at the redundancy of our line. For instance, the Old Carpenter, if there's no line, no fiber in the district that is hanging overhead anymore. All of our fiber is buried. We were burying fiber before all these vehicles showed up and started burying fiber. We were doing this, so we were popular before, what is it? What did it say? We're country before everybody else was country? What is it saying? So anyway, we were doing it because we wanted the redundancy. An example of redundancy is if Carpenter went out because the fiber was coming in one way, then Carpenter was out until it got repaired. And the repairs are not locally, so we have to wait for somebody coming in. The redundancy is that now the fiber comes in both directions. That means if it dies in one direction, where it's tourniquet or terminated in one direction, you can back out the data and come into that site another way. So we have redundant systems throughout and loops. Over to the left, you can kind of see the overview of the fiber layout across the district and how we have the redundancy. You see one loop that goes all the way around and down the center. So if something happens, we always have another method to getting our data to our campuses, which is exciting with regards to that. We also added a little pizzazz to the gas tank. So if you go to a football game and you're down there and you look up and you can actually see a dragon looking at you from the gas tank, one of the little additions that we put in there to kind of speak up to the pride and our high school kids, the excitement of showcasing our dragons for our students. Some additional projects that we have. This is the culminating project that we will be arriving with, which is the Staff Development Center. The Staff Development Center is a training facility that's going to be state-of-the-art. It's going to be built for our staff. We don't have a space that can do that. This space right here is the largest space that we have sometimes when we come in and do our staff development for our folks. However, you take this space in this room, you can fit 3 of these rooms, these boardrooms, you can fit 3 of these boardrooms in the space of what that's being created. And you can also break it up in different places. Originally, when this was going to be designed, was going to be on the west side of the DSC, which is closest to the hospital area, to the daycare center on the top end. If you know where the DSC is, where the basketball goals were, that's where it was going to be created. However, in conversation, we found out that we're going to be doing a lot of pre-work that would tie up a lot of our bond funds, which is dirt work, a lot of leveling, but that wasn't the biggest thing. The biggest thing was the utility line. There's a utility line that's buried on that back side. We would have to reroute all of that at our expense to get that, because you can't build a building on top of that. So what we did is we just flipped it and put it on the other side, which will be built near the apartments on the west side of DSC. Now, let's take a closer look as you're looking at this. But remember, we talked about the damage that occurred with the DSC. So what we've got to do is address future needs, which is redirecting water. So we don't have a future flood issue at the DSC. And also, when we build this facility, what and how can we redirect water so we can be good neighbors to the apartment complex that's there adjacent to us. So what we have is just south of the DSC is a property there. It's a wooded area, and you can see the line at an angle on that image. That is the buried utility line that's in the ground. You can put a parking lot over that, you just can't build a building over it. So that will be approximately, Ralph, did we say it was about 300, 350 parking spaces? Extended there. So that will allow to accommodate. We need that for staging area, because once the work begins for the Staff Development Center, then it eliminates parking, because we have to stage a lot of construction vehicles over and getting ready for the build that needs to happen. So it's a staging area, but also for future meetings, and we're able to have the parking there for the folks. If you dive in a little bit closer to it, you can actually see the building in its design. This is looking at it from the west, I believe. No. Yeah, you're looking at it from the south, right, Ralph? It's from the bottom of the south, and you see over to the right is the addition that is added to the actual building. If you dive in a little bit closer to the next drawing, by the way, this is the skew from the front and the main entrance when you come in to the training facility for it. And when you go into it, you have 4 quadrants. Each one of those, for instance, the big area that's in the center, that is the large capacity area with about 264 seats. When you open up that middle wall, which is in the center up there, you can add an additional 80 seats. It becomes a bigger and larger area. When you also can break out into subgroups and training opportunities with the 2 training areas in the back area, those areas do not open up into the big space that you have. So it allows us to have a great venue that can not only be utilized by the school district for training, but also utilize it in whatever capacity we can as a community. So this was something that was in the original plan, was a training facility that would be added. All we did is we watched and were able to see, okay, how do funds allow us to do this? What funding mechanism allows it? So are we still within the bond of what the community said we were able to graciously spend with regards to what we have? Inside, this kind of gives you a layout of that room. You also know that at that point there, we have a section at the far west side, which becomes also the platform for the school board. So you have it can also float as a board meeting. In the back area, you see the glass wall, that would be the media room that can meet and provide any of the media services for what's needed in that space for the training that we can provide for our teachers and also for any other venue that we have for the community that's there. There's different setups you can have, table layouts if it's set up. So this is what it looks like if you had 32 seats in the capacity with the tables. If you opened up the backside, you also have additional tables. So we've got different setups based on the need of the delivery of the interaction with our teachers. You can also do it where you have it the traditional rows as you're coming in, and it gives you the capacity of having about 216 seats for a lecture on the front. The podium is portable. You can change the front of that area in 2 key locations, which is up in the front and where the arc is, or you can actually even move it over to the south side of that room. So it depends on the audience and the layout that you have. So we're thinking about the multi-purpose and the ability to use that space in different ways. Give you an example here. The front area, the top gives you what it would look like with tables and the layout, and then that back portion kind of gives you an idea what it would look like with the training with the tables in that back portion for our teachers. Now I'm going to hand this off to Lisa.
Good evening, President Neerman, board members, Dr. Trujillo. Is this on?
I don't hear it.
Hello, oh, there we go.
Yes.
You just got to get closer. So you might want to refer to your computers because those numbers are pretty small up there. And this is, these are numbers only for our bond projects. What was presented to you included more than just bond. So this is split between, the first page is our completed projects. And as you see, we have a majority of our projects completed. Now, you'll notice that the first column is the name of the project, and then the next column is the original bond budget. That is how we originally budgeted and what we expected, what we sold to the community. And then the next one is what we have spent as of October 14th, 2023. We have some estimated final bills. Although the projects are complete here, there are some bills still to pay. And then the final column is savings. If it's a positive, it's savings. If it's in parentheses, there's a deficit based on our original bond budget. Now, of course, we had our original bond budget, but then when we went out to bid, it came in higher, but I did not reflect those amounts. Again, we're just looking at the difference between what we actually spent and then the original bond budget. So at the bottom where we have our completed projects, we have a savings of $6.6 million. That is primarily due to our HVAC systems that were in our priority maintenance, being the ability to move those and be paid out of the ESSER funds. So there's those three main ones, the NHS HVAC, the McMichael HVAC, and BQJ HVAC. Up at the top, you'll see where there was the big deficit with the Carpenter building of $3.7 million. So if we move on to the next page. This next set of projects are ongoing projects. We have, again, the project name, the original bond budget, and here I am showing the contract amount that we are working with, then spending as of October 14th, 23, and then the estimated savings or deficit that we are going to expect from these projects. So here, about in the middle where we have our first subtotal, we have a deficit for these at just a little over $3 million. At the very top, I carried that savings over at $6.6 million. Then on our ongoing projects, we have a deficit of $3 million. And then the next number is our interest earned as of October 14th, which is $2.2 million. So that's pretty good earnings, although we had a year or two of some not very good earnings while the interest rates were down. Anyway, so if we take our $6 million savings, the $3 million deficit, the $2 million in our interest earnings, we still have $5.8 million available for another project. So the next set of numbers are future projects. Well, we had two projects on our bond that we are not going to do, and that is the roof and HVAC replacement at our Deaf Ed building. Instead, we're going to vacate that building, and plans are to sell it. And then the third project there is that DSC training center that was presented to you tonight. So again, we don't know what the DSC training center will cost yet because it hasn't gone out to bid, but we have about $5.6 $5.6 million to spend on that. And that is about what they expect it to cost. So there now at the bottom, you see your grand totals, our original bond budget at $77.995 million. We've spent $73.2 million so far. And then the remainder is finishing it up. Any questions on that?
No?
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, we have a TASA and TASB Conference Delegate Assembly Report, Dr. Tyrell Groman.
Okay, so I need somebody to start a timer. We're going to have a pop quiz, one number. We're going to learn 3 things about how TASB set up. Okay, so I was the representative by default, and I complied. There are over 1,000 schools in TASB, or in the state, and 100% of those are in TASB. Okay, so there's one number. Number 2, there are 20 districts that the whole state is cut up into, and then there's district people that run those districts, and we are in District
7.
There's no 7s out there. 7. Okay, so when we look at District 7, it has the most number of schools. So does anyone out there know how many total schools are in District 7?
Stephen does.
What?
Stephen knows.
Okay, anybody? Okay, it's 95. Think about, it's 1,000, 95 are in Region 7. We only had about 400 schools represented at this meeting, okay? This is a meeting for advocacy, and we vote on things we want to advocate about. We had, there's a lot of political stuff, I'm not going to go into that, but I'm basically going to read you 3 more things, and then that's my report. There's a lot of networking that goes on, just like at all the meetings you go to. But here's just 3. I just turned to a page, and I'm going to just give you the basic idea of these are the things we advocate for with the legislature and other people. So let me put on my glasses so I can see. TASB advocates for opposition to any efforts by the Texas Education Agency to escalate from a monitor or conservatude to a state takeover by establishing a board of managers that does not clearly set goals and a path to return local governance back to the community as quickly as possible. I didn't read everything. Resolution 14, fiscal impactment. TASB advocates for a statement of impact describing the effects to state funding of public education for any legislation pertaining to property tax relief, including both immediate and long-term, 1, 5, 10, and 15 years impact. Number 15, debt payment. TASB opposes legislation preventing school districts from paying off debt early. Okay, so that's just some of the things that we were meeting and talking about, and now that just goes to all the advocacy things that are going on. Of course, we have advocates at Austin right now every day. So that concludes my report. It was very interesting, and I always learn new things, including how many schools in Region 7? Okay, we pass. We've met our goals.
Thank you, Dr. Groman. Okay, we're in the time. Seeking a motion for adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Dr. Groman, are you opposing?
No.
Okay.
I comply.
Okay.